Welcoming Darcy Logan again. This is for part 2. Want to talk to him about his role as curator, gallery services
manager. Yes.
So can you tell us a little bit about Casa? Why is it named Casa?
Because it's a home for the arts in southern Alberta.
Okay.
It's not an acronym.
Yeah.
That was such a bone of contention for people when we first opened.
Yeah.
Like, of all the things you're going to fixate on critically, it's going to be the fact that it's not an acronym. I guess we just...
What they want it to be? They wanted Casa to mean something different?
Yeah, they wanted it to be an acronym for something.
Oh.
You know. The tagline was always creating arts in southern Alberta.
Yeah.
But, yeah. So Casa is a... multidisciplinary art facility in the heart of downtown Lethbridge.
And that's few words to describe it, because it's amazing everything that happens there. It's got, well, all kinds of, like you do, pottery, there's guilds.
Yes, one with few exception. The one exception, there's guilds, but it's got public studio production spaces in ceramics, sculpture, woodworking, textiles,
wow,
photography, dyeing, printmaking.
Not this kind of dyeing.
With
dyeing material?
Dyeing material. That anybody, if you are have demonstrated your ability to use the equipment in those studios, can take out an access fee and basically use the studios 24/7.
Really?
It's pretty amazing.
Oh, that is really amazing.
So on top of that, there's dedicated classroom space for 2 and 3D art and ceramics. There's a rentable black box theater / community room that's perfect for small dance recitals and lots of film screenings that happen there. There's a dance studio. There's a really active gallery exhibition program that happens in our main space as well as in auxiliary spaces throughout the building.
Right.
Part of the real estate at Casa is taken over by the University of Lethbridge Conservatory of Music, which offers their music classes for children and adults. So it's a really, when COVID's not shutting everything down, it's a really active space.
Yeah. And
I hear some critics talk about how nobody uses Casa.
Yeah.
It's a small percentage. In 2019, I believe it was 196,000 visitors came through that facility. So
yeah, it's a busy place.
It is.
Yeah, but it's
during peak hours especially.
Yeah.
Right? Yeah.
And you had said people who have proven, like, if you want to use the printmaking, you need to show that you have printmaking, or is there a class there you take, and once you've taken that class, then...
Yep. To demonstrate proficiency, it's either two ways. Either you've done it in the past, and when you do your studio orientation, they'll just ask you some things that show that you know how to properly use the space.
Right.
And we do offer extensive educational programs, and a lot of those are to transition people into the studio spaces.
Right.
So you can take your printmaking class, and then you're able to take out your membership and go work independently.
Right.
And the same with ceramics, things like that. So
you were talking about the main gallery space, which is an amazing space.
Yes.
Kind of a, not two-parter, but sort of two galleries within one. Would you describe it that way?
Yeah, it's kind of been a giant space that's been turned into two separate exhibition venues.
Yeah.
And we pay fair honorariums to artists that exhibit in those spaces, and usually artists of working at a professional level, whether they're emerging or mid-career.
Right.
And I try to give preference to artists that have a connection to our community, whether they are currently working here or maybe they did university studies here and have since gone on.
Right.
And it's a good way to bring them back and highlight the achievements that they've gone on to have.
Yeah.
And then throughout the rest of the building, it's community and more informal.
Right.
So
Yeah.
Though I recently got approved to start funding some of my auxiliary spaces, so I'll be being able to pay artist fees for more spaces, and that's what I'm all about, trying to have fair remuneration to artists that exhibit.
Yeah, I noticed that when I was sort of going through your website just a bit. There are a lot of sort of smaller projects where there is an honorarium given. That's cool, because that's usually the hard thing for artists. And
Yeah.
when you're a sort of a small space, I mean, you're not a super small space, but, a small space for artists, lots of times there's not a lot of money left over, right?
Yes, that's very, and yeah, the not for profit
That's
arena
what I was looking for.
the
Yeah.
arts. It's hard to find stable funding that you can rely on and predict year to year. But the Allied Arts Council of Lethbridge, which manages Casa, does an exceptional job at finding funds and doing proper governance, so it's great.
Oh, cool. And I saw is it called shadow boxing or shadow box or something that you're doing on the...
Oh yeah, that got released today. That was my call for submissions.
I saw that and I was like, shoot, it's May 22nd. I'm totally going to apply.
Yeah. Inside Out is the name of that project that's going to be happening.
Yeah.
And that's going to be happening in Rotary Square, that's on the east side of the building. And I'm calling it Inside Out because obviously the stuff we do inside, because of COVID restrictions, we're going to move outside.
Yeah.
So there's kind of three components to that. There's a series of shadow boxes that we've built with kind of plexiglass fronts that artists can turn into mini installations and dioramas, and those will go up on our flagpoles at eye level.
Oh, cool.
We have these 8x10 artist kiosks in the square as well.
Yeah.
And so we're looking for artists to do installations or displays in those.
So with those, how would those be affected by COVID? Just
there's only kind of one person that can go in there at a time because they are so small.
Right.
So, yeah.
Okay. Cool.
And then a summer salon window display that'll happen in the big concourse window.
Oh, cool. You guys did a summer salon last year, didn't you?
Last year, when we could
that was
open.
Crazy.
Yeah, we had 68 artists participate. It was just unreal.
Yeah.
It was wonderful.
That's really cool. When things like that are opportunities for artists who wouldn't normally maybe bring their work out to be exhibited, but when you can sort of be one as a part of 60 other artists or whatever, then it's a little less intimidating sometimes.
Yeah, and I've been curating in this community for so many years that it was kind of surprising to find people for that one that I hadn't met yet.
Yeah.
So, new art friends came out of the woodwork, which was great.
That is great. So as far as kids, have you guys, I know we're talking here with COVID, so a lot of these things don't apply right now, but are there special programs that are for kids or special groups or that kind of thing?
Yeah, we have a very extensive caveat, not during COVID, extensive educational program that meets the needs of adults, children, and adults with disabilities. And also some subsidized programs for people that might be prohibited by some of the costs of the classes, which we try to keep as low as we can because we're a cost recovery organization.
Yeah.
We also have done educational programming for people transitioning out of homelessness, and all sorts of workshops and special educational kind of things for different groups. So,
right.
Our educational manager can oftentimes tailor an educational arts experience for a specific group.
Right. So when you can normally do this, do you have adult programs as well? Like, do you have like a pottery class that happens on every Wednesdays at the Publix?
Extensive adult educational programming, and everything from the foundational things like drawing and painting and ceramics through to printmaking, some textile, and all sorts of professional development opportunities for artists that already have some experience. So it runs the whole spectrum of educational opportunities are there.
And do you get inspired by the work that comes in? Is it surprising sometimes seeing the work that comes in?
Oh, definitely. It's even after all these years, I
Yeah.
still really love my job, and I love giving opportunities to artists.
Yeah.
I like working with like professional artists, but I really love artists that maybe have never shown their work,
Yeah.
or maybe shy. They're like, "Do you mind evaluating my work? I've never shown it to anybody."
Yeah.
And then looking at it and talking about it, and then being, you know what, we have this auxiliary space upstairs. Let's talk about having a show.
Right.
And so then they have their very first public exhibition, and
Yeah.
that's the thing that I love the most, actually.
Yeah. Yeah. Very cool. Well, it's a space that is offering opportunity to everybody from every walk of life.
Yeah.
I mean, it's our public space, right? It's a public.
It is, and
Public space.
it's free to enter. Donations are accepted to help offset some of our costs, but
Yeah.
when we are open, the public's welcome to just wander in, and there's always something to see, whether it's artists working through the windows of the studios, or all the art that's on display, and maybe one of our film nights is happening that's free. So yeah,
Kids are practicing. You can hear them practicing.
Oh, yeah,
their instruments.
it's a real multidisciplinary facility, which is nice. Where
Yeah.
music and theater and film and visual arts. And when it was first conceived, it was conceived to be an arts incubator, which was the phraseology they used, which was to kind of nurture that production and then have a way to educate the public.
Right.
So,
Well, and when you walk in the space, there's pretty much something on every wall to look at, depending if you come in from the west side. There's usually that whole wall that has something on it, right?
Yes.
2D kind of all the way down it. And then coming into the main, even in the main, there's just everything to see on every wall.
yeah, and every 6 to 8 weeks it all changes, and there's new stuff throughout the entire building.
Has that changed a bit with COVID as far as putting up new works?
Yeah, we closed our exhibitions early, the December exhibitions, because we closed, and we haven't been able to put up a new show since January. And always there was the expectation that as the numbers decrease, we're ready to go. I've got all the artists lined up, and then it's like, sorry, actually we have to push it back.
Yeah.
And that happened 2 or 3 times, and I ended up a month or 2 ago postponing everything till September.
Yeah.
And I'm glad I did, just with the way that the cases are rising.
Yeah. Yeah, it's we're in Alberta for anyone who's listening anywhere else, and we have one of the highest
In North America.
Yeah, which is crazy.
Yeah.
In all of the states and Canada. So
We got all those knuckle dragging anti-maskers.
it is. Oh, and people not taking the shot drives me nuts too. Not wanting to take our
Oh man, I've got my first one, and like I'm tempted to just try and find a way to cheat and push myself to the front.
Oh my God! Speaking of,
Shoot me up,
yeah,
please.
shoot me up. I'll get one here,
Yeah.
then we're good. Got both my shots at once. Oh man, I was in a line forever when I went in, and they kind of trick you. It's like, I haven't been to Disneyland, but someone's saying it's like Disneyland, because you get going on this long, and you're outside, and it's so long, and then you see people going in a building, and you're like, oh sweet, getting close, and then in the building they had another big
long
line.
line,
I was like, no, so mean spirited, but I got it, and it was worth it. And
Yeah.
a couple hours is just fine. Paul, who you know, my husband, is immune suppressed, so it's like, gotta have everything when you can. So
He probably got his quite early, I imagine.
he did, yeah, and should get it again quite early, just because he's high risk. Good. So yeah, and I have to get mine as soon as I can, being as I live with him.
Yeah, you know, yeah.
Yeah.
Carries a risk having a partner that's...
It does. Like the flu shot, you have to sort of commit to making sure, not that I mind, but yeah, you've got to make sure you stay safe for him.
Good.
But so anyone can use what are dates for applying? I think I saw May 22nd for your shadow boxes one. What else do you have coming up?
May 22nd for the shadow boxes, May 29th for the...
the 8x10.
The kiosks, yep. And then putting your painting in the window for display, which is open to anybody that wants to participate in that one's welcome to.
Oh, cool.
That's June 9th, maybe. I'd have to double check that.
Okay, I'll check and then we can put that link.
Sure, that'd
I'll
be
put
great.
the links and the dates, and that we'll make sure those are
Yeah.
available.
And in the times before the Troubles, I used to post my call for submission in November. And so I'd ask artists to submit in November. December I would adjudicate.
Yeah.
And then I would set a schedule about a year and a half out.
Right.
And
But
do it that
now
way.
with it kind of piling up, are you?
I've had to push programming that should have ended at the end of this year far into next year.
Yeah. Yeah.
So not accepting any submissions
For a bit.
for a bit.
Yeah. Watch the website if you want
Yes,
to know
watch
when.
the website.
All right. Well, thank you very much. I believe that's just telling us that we're getting down on
All right.
our battery time. We're all right. So thank you very much for joining us. That was Darcy Logan, and we talked to him. Don't forget to check out part 1 if you want to find out about his work and what inspires him. And thanks for joining and telling us a bit about Casa.
Yeah, and like I'll reiterate it, Casa's free to visit, and the public is welcome and encouraged to attend and come celebrate our varied and wonderful arts community.
Cool. Thanks.
Thanks.